Hey, what's going on, bruh? You know what's awesome? Like making games. So, like, you want to make some games, bruh? Like, video games? Of course you do, bruh. Amazon Games is like the place for you, bruh. We got like wicked money and a boss that doesn't like care about anything or like even know how to make video games, bruh. It's so boss. Like, it's just, I can't even describe it. We just do, like, whatever, bruh. Yeah, man. We go around with, like, flipped up collars and pink polos and stuff. It's pretty badass. So, when we've only released, like, I don't know, like one game, bruh, and, and we canceled that one because it was pretty, it's pretty awful, bruh. I guess there's two, but, like, no one knows about the second one. It was like a driving car game, bruh, and yeah, we don't even count that, so nobody else should. But like, hey, man, yeah, we're like sensitive too, bro, because like when we decided not to have Native Americans like be killed and stuff in the New World, because like some old tribal dude and stuff like just came in and it was said like it was like like problematic and stuff. So we were like, bruh. We understand, bruh. Yeah. And so we turned them into zombies. Yeah. Yeah, native zombies. That's way different. So yeah, like Amazon Game Studios, man, it's just like a pride of day, bruh. It's like I mean, yeah.
Bruh.
This is Crashed While Loading, the fusion of entertainment and information.
Hello there.
Weekly updates and opinions on video games,
You were almost a Jill sandwich.
You're right.
movies,
I'm about to do to you what Limp Bizkit did to music in the late 90s.
TV shows,
This is the way.
This is the way.
and so much more.
JJ, what do you want to do tonight?
Off. We need to go on a quick adventure. Why, hello there, people of the frozen internet. Welcome. This is Crash While Loading, episode 20. I am your host, Ashen Phoenix. Some may also know me as Ashen Phoenix. If you're listening to us on the podcast, remember, watch us live, twitch.tv/Crash While Loading. Click the Discord button, join us during the week. So, how's this global warming working out from everyone right now? Is it doing real good for you? Is it just, I know, don't confuse weather with climate change. But you know what? Fuck you, because right now, like, 40 states are on emergency cold snaps. Texas is frozen over. Texas. Like, the part that even bumps up against the Gulf of Mexico. So it's awful everywhere. I do have a theory on how this works, why it can get so hot with global warming that it actually gets this cold. Now, this is scientific, so I understand if not everybody can follow me on this, but picture, if you will, a thermometer. Not one of those sticky ones or a digital one, but for us old folk that grew up, or anybody that has grandparents still, likely, those old round thermometers that it would go in a circle, and if you notice towards the end on the right-hand side at the bottom, after it went above like 140, if it kept going, where did that go to? That's right, that needle would actually go to the negatives. So right now, it's actually probably 180 degrees, but because the way weather works on those thermometers, it instantly dumped down to negative 40 up north. And for us here in like Oklahoma, it was like negative 10, 4 degrees right now. That is how global warming works. No matter how hot it gets, it can still get cold because of those thermometers. It's science, man. Listen, I don't make this stuff up. I am a scientist. I mean, I've watched like Bill Nye once or twice. I've seen Ghostbusters. They were scientists. I watched Mr. Wizard. He was more of a wizard probably than a scientist on account of it's in his name. But Jeff Goldblum, he plays a lot of scientists. Big fan. Therefore, that makes me a scientist. Don't question me. This is how this works. Yeah. So, anyway. Yeah, it's pretty awful everywhere. I feel if you're out there, hopefully you're doing okay. If you're listening to this in the future and it's like the middle of July, fuck you. Seriously, when nobody likes you right now. And suddenly, right now, all of a sudden, everyone's like, Florida, sure, it's got a lot of old people and meth heads, but it's 70. So there you go. You finally made yourself worthwhile, Florida. All right, let's go into this shindig. We got a lot of things going for you today. 4-year-old extremist, Google's horrible customer service actually lost it a game, the resurrection of the dead in Fallujah, and the big topic today I'm going to go over, and it's going to take probably a good length of time because it fascinates me at how much promise Amazon Game Studio had. When I first heard about it, I thought, honestly, that they were going to dominate the video game landscape. And as it turns out, my alarm's going off. As it turns out, bruh.
Bruh.
It ain't gonna happen.
Bruh.
At all. So, unless something drastically changes. Apparently, it's a guy named Mike Frazzini who's in charge of all this. Also started the studio in 2012, which I don't know about any of you. I did not realize that it had been out for nearly 9 years and only 2 games released. One of which is canceled. And the other one, which is nobody knows about because it's a car game tied with the TV show. But before we get to that, what have I been playing? Still playing Nier Automata. I started the C story after you do play the first 2. Got to I'm currently at Neagle, which is a giant mechanical desert centipede, and he can fuck all the way off because he is a right pain in my ass. I keep dying to him, and it's not fun. It stopped being fun now because before it was challenging. Now it's just diarrhea of the screen. It's clipping into giant orbs that are spinning around. It's lasers and little globby balls shooting at me. I've got balls just shooting at my face left and right. I mean, I'm playing as, I think it's A2, and she's just constantly having balls hit her in the face, and it's really annoying. It's aggravating, to be honest with you. Nobody likes to be hit in the face with balls. I mean, unless you're playing dodgeball, I guess then... No, even then, because then you still get hit in the face with the dodgeball. And anybody from high school, you ever, ADD moment, you ever remember playing dodgeball in high school? Now, if you weren't this person, or if you were this person, you probably don't know. But as a skinny 100-pound kid that was actually very nimble and pretty good at dodgeball, not so much the throwing, but the dodging I was fantastic at. There was nothing like the sound of that one kid that looked like a 48-year-old Puerto Rican kind of a thing. He's just like a massive chunk of a man. And you just hear as the ball sailed and broke the sound barrier as it launched towards your head. Am I the only one that still remembers that? Probably. I don't know. But it was awful. And... still really good. I was really good at dodgeball, which is probably not saying much. But anyway, yeah, Nier Automata, I hope I can get past this part because I want to keep playing. I'm really actually getting invested into it. It really took some crazy turns. But that thing is kicking my butt. And I don't mind losing because of something I'm doing, like the Souls games. Like people lose. I don't enjoy them because while I can do it, I don't enjoy that kind of stress in my video game playing. But at least you're losing because you're just, you know what you're doing. This is just dumbass luck. It's random luck, and I don't like it. Some people apparently have no problem with this level. For whatever reason, I'm having trouble. So I will see. I'll see how many more times I keep trying before I'm like, you know what? Yeah, moving on. Downloaded Marvel vs. Capcom Ultimate. It was free. Game Pass. I can see why it's not the greatest of games. I mean, it's okay. It's fine. I like fighting games, but it's very haphazard and very, I don't know. I'm just playing through the story mode right now, but even that, the mechanics they're good, they're fine, but it doesn't jive with me. I'll probably just keep playing it just because. Played some Halo 1 with Sib, actually. Again, Game Pass, Halo Master Chief Collection. I never played Halo 1. I didn't have an Xbox originally. I don't think I played like the first 2, maybe 3 Halos. I might have played some of Halo 3's like multiplayer. I know I played it with like friends and stuff's house, but I sucked because I was a PC gamer then largely and hadn't touched a first-person shooter game on a console since like fucking GoldenEye when those came out. Now I do just fine. I can, I do all right now. But at the time, man, I was not having fun, and I didn't get into the Halo thing until I think ODST, and I played, and then there was Reach, and I think we played Halo 4, and I don't think 5, if that was the last one, I think. I didn't even finish it, even the first player. It was just not good. It's just 343 is not Bungie, and whatever Bungie was doing, they're not. So I kind of, fucked off from that. Yeah. Sorry for the cussing. I don't know why I'm cussing so much. It's cold outside. It's like 4 degrees. We got snow. We finally got rid of our ice. We had like 4-5 days straight of like a millimeter of ice on the roads, and it made doing my job delivering mail almost impossible. We had 6 carriers crack the back of their skulls open. A couple went to the hospital. One thinks they broke their ribs. Another one hurt their hip, and it's as bad as I've ever seen it. So it's kind of put me in a cranky mood. And lastly, I went back to Final Fantasy XIV. I had been trying not to. It's been slowly creeping up on me. I saw the End Walker trailer, and I was like, that makes me want to play again. So I was like, but no, I'm going to hear Nier Automata. Then Neagle came. I think that's the name if I wrote it down as Neagle. So I know it's not Negan, so there's that. Yeah, I still like it. It's a fun game, and I'm not playing on my main character, which is I will eventually, but I'm playing on a level 30. I actually want to play through the whole game again, like story mode wise, because it's such a great story, and I don't remember a lot of it. But at the same time, I haven't jumped on Raylan, my main ninja guy, because that's a lot of buttons, and I need to figure out what all those buttons do, because I can't really go into dungeons and do all the shit that you're supposed to in the main story quests, because I'll be that guy. I'll be like, I don't know what I'm doing. Anybody? How do I mine for fish? Kind of a thing. So that's what I've been doing in video games. And ESO. ESO's still there. Been playing less and less of that. I want to do the role-play stuff, and I think I've got a big thing tonight, but just the game itself is kind of, I don't know, it's wearing thin on me. I want to just keep probably for role-playing, but that's about all there is. So in the news this week, everyone's probably saw it by now, the Snyder Cut Justice League trailer, the full thing. Man, was that, I don't know, a thing that happened. I'm not excited. I don't know why everyone thought Zack Snyder's was going to be. I mean, he's not bad. He did fine with, X-Men and stuff, but I'm pretty sure that was him, right? Good grief. Now I got to make sure I got the right guy. Zack Snyder, X-Men. Was that it? Yeah, it was a... That was him, right? No, he didn't do that. He did, yeah, that's right. He was like Watchmen and 300. Duh. I don't know why I was, who am I thinking of? Oh, probably, yeah, okay. Got it mixed up. Yeah, but he did, he does, Watchmen was good, 300 was great. He produced those, but, he's not like the best, he's not James Cameron. Or even not even Spielberg, or Spielberg, or even a George Lucas, like even prequel version George Lucas. He's fine, I guess. That's gonna drive me crazy. Who did the X-Men now? I can't remember it. The first few and that were really good, but anyway, I don't know. It's just a lot of the footage. the Superman screaming, the black, was okay, fine, whatever. The black costume. I think the biggest problem is the DC universe is not the Marvel universe. They rushed it. They rushed it so fast. They saw what Marvel did, and they tried to do what Marvel took, what was it, 8 years, 6 years or something like that to get to the first Avengers movie with, they did Iron Man and Captain America and Thor and then another Iron Man, and there's a Hulk in there that they just, recast Norton from. They took their time. They had a plan. I had a plan. But DC did not, and it shows in this. And I don't know. I'm gonna watch it. I mean, I got HBO Max, so why wouldn't I watch the 5.5 day long movie? I'll probably cut it over into the next 4 months, but still, I'll sit down and I'll watch it, and I'll report back to you on what I think about it. But I'm not really that excited for it. I like some of the DC ones, like the first Wonder Woman was fantastic. Shazam, ironically, was probably the best they've done so far in this whole kind of universe. Wonder Woman 1984 was just a hodgepodge of garbage. I wanted to like it, and I like certain scenes, but when they jump in the plane outside the Smithsonian, and I was on Google, like, that plane only has an average flight time of like 2,000 miles on thing, and it's like 5,000 plus miles to Egypt. So yeah, they crashed somewhere in the Atlantic. I figured that out just off the top of my head. Also, why was it fueled up like that and ready to go? And somebody that flew a bunch of propeller jobs is not going to jump into an F whatever that was and instantly be able to take off. Things like that just threw me the hell out of it. And also Cheetah at the end. She already had Wonder Woman's powers. So instead, I want to be an apex predator. Bitch, you were an apex predator. And now you're just a furry convention. It did not work out. And you got your ass handed to you. You got fried. You know what she can do? She can survive grabbing bolts of lightning. You know what you can't survive? An electrical station, apparently. Because you're a cheetah. You're not Wonder Woman anymore. You kind of fucked that one up. It was bad. So I'm not really looking forward to the Snyder Cut. I mean, I'm not excited. I'm looking forward to seeing what they do, because supposedly it's 3 hours of new footage. But I don't know. We won't know until we see it. And I love Henry Cavill. He's like, he's my dude. He's my man. Love him as The Witcher. Love him as a nerd and a fellow gamer. Guy's just fucking boss. I love him. So I love him as Superman. He's just, unfortunately, it's like the prequels. It's just kind of, and the sequel trilogy on Star Wars. It's just bad writing. You can't fix bad writing with good actors. I love The Witcher. He's good in that. He was even good in, what was that? Emily Holmes, the little Netflix series. He played Sherlock. He was a good Sherlock Holmes. Didn't work out too well. So anyway, that's that. It is what it is. People have been clamoring for it, like it's gonna, the second coming of Joss Whedon before he got all, apparently creepy and abusive to everybody, according to a lot of people. It's Hollywood. I mean, I don't know why people are. Does anybody know how Hollywood is? I don't know if they're aware of this. The reputation. I mean, Hitchcock actually called one of his actresses, I forget which movie and scene it was. I think it was Psycho, but she's supposed to cry. He had somebody call her and tell her her dog had just got ran over, so that she would be emotional enough that she could really give a good scene give a good scene on the camera. And then afterwards they said, "Oh no, your dog's fine. We just lied about that." That's Hollywood, man. That's what they do. That's not just Hitchcock being a dick. That's how they do shit. It's not a nice business. It's like modeling. It's terrible. So I don't know why people are surprised by that. 4-year-old extremists. Yeah. Finally got to get these fuckers, So over in the UK, for those that think the US has crazy 1984-like things. Oh, UK, guys. You guys really need to ease up a little bit. Some of it's getting a little scary. There was apparently this is police were reportedly sent to a family home in 2019. It's been a while, but still, as part of the UK government's Prevent strategy, an anti-extremism scheme, after their 4-year-old son was overheard talking about Fortnite in the playground after school. Seems a little weird. First of all, anti-extremism scheme, good thing. Unfortunately, I don't think little Timmy talking about Fortnite is going to qualify, except for the fact that the boy was overheard referencing how his father had guns and bombs in his shed. Remember, he's 4, so it's like, and my dad's got, like, there were, like, guns, and there were bombs, and there were things in the shed, and there was blowing up, and there was explosions, and there was a rocket launcher. Kids are dumb. They're 4. They don't understand things. So what happened here was the kid was watching his cousin play Fortnite. Because he's 4, he doesn't have the ability to probably do anything in Fortnite beyond run around and be like, I'm playing Fortnite. It's a Fortnite. Oh, blah, 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 blah. It's a Fortnite. He saw guns. He saw explosions. He saw shooting. And he talked about it the next day at school. And according to his mom, the officer sent me all the information, including the transcript of that conversation. It's clear he mentioned Fortnite. He's just a little boy with an imagination. The teachers should know. I don't know why she sounds like this, but we're going to go with it. The teachers should know in this setting that children have imagination. They know exactly what kids are like and what young boys are like. I do not think if this was a white boy, they would have actually gone to the extreme reference into the referring him to the Prevent scheme. Here's where I think she goes. Obviously, she's... I see, and this is where problems come in. She's not African American. She's a black lady. She's an African European. Does that make any more sense? No, it doesn't. She's a black lady. They're a black family. I honestly think she's wrong. Myself, I think because of the way these stupid things are, I've seen plenty of stories of, even here in America, there was a kid that was suspended for making a finger gun. There was another one that ate a Pop-Tart into the shape of a gun, and he was suspended for, quote, a Class 2 look-alike firearm. Apparently there's classes for this. I didn't know. Usually when there's classes for things like this, they're called re-education. But we'll see. It's unfortunate. I don't think the color thing really comes into it. I think it's clearly that this is one of those overly sensitive teachers that's like, oh my gosh, I had better be safe. This 4-year-old might... Yeah, I mean, I know he mentioned Fortnite, and being a teacher of small children, I clearly know what Fortnite is because anybody with a child knows what fucking Fortnite is. Everybody. My sister knows what Fortnite is. The only video game she played was watching me play Super Mario Brothers back in like 1986. She's not a video game person. She's got boys. She knows what Fortnite is. She probably knows more about Fortnite than I do because I have a teenage son and he plays things like he's playing that Valheim right now and things like that. My daughter plays Ark. They don't play that, so I don't have to hear about it. But I can guarantee you a teacher knows fucking Fortnite. So, yeah, they sent this kid, it's just so, this quote from the Liberty Policy and Campaigns Manager, Rosalind Comyad, that told The Guardian, it's so worrying that hundreds of children barely old enough to tie their own shoelaces are being profiled as potential future criminals based on things like video games they play or perceived views of their families. You think? And someone else here said, where someone is concerned, a child may have been deliberately exposed to harmful terrorist narratives, it is right that they refer them to the necessary authorities. Prevent it first and foremost about safeguarding, and through this referral, the child will be received the vital support they need. And as the article here says, I'm sure the kid received vital support needed to stop talking passionately about Fortnite. See, this is the problem. Here in the U.S., we have a thing called zero tolerance policy. Zero tolerance means zero brains, zero accountability, zero thought process, zero ways of actually looking at things in a intellectual and strategic way. For example, like this. This thing can happen here in the U.S. Some teacher overhears something. They know it's about Fortnite, but they're like, well, he did say his dad had bombs in the shed, so we better be safe and send him into the authorities. Heil Hitler. It's like, this is not good stuff. This is bad. You don't want to be ratting. Common sense is dead. Yeah, I mean, one of my favorite quotes from Deadpool is, common sense is so rare, it's a superpower. Yeah, that's exactly accurate. And it's unfortunate. This kid's probably, he imagine being 4 years old and you have cops knock on your door. Police! They did it at night. Or no, they didn't do it. They came over later in the day towards night, which, at least they didn't bang in the door and do what a lot of things happen here with, not doxing, the police squad hits when someone doesn't like it. It's just, you're traumatizing 4-year-olds, and that's not a cool thing to do. I don't know. It's just a shame, and people need to shut their mouths and use a little common sense and little brains. But, so yeah, terrorist 4-year-old. There you go. In other news, Torreira, not a game I like. It's not my speed. It's like a 2D Minecraft kind of a thing. But it's a good game. People love it. It's out on a lot of things. And it's not coming to Stadia because Google's customer service is fucking garbage. Yeah, right? How's that work out? So here's the thing. Co-creator of Torreira canceled the upcoming Google Stadia version after his Google game accounts, or his Google accounts were locked. So Andrew Spinks, or if you want to follow him on Twitter, Demologic, which is a great Twitter handle, by the way. Good on you. Apparently, he lost all access to his Google accounts, Google Play, Google Drive, YouTube, Gmail, everything related to Google. If this happened to me, this would basically be what happens to me. I'm reading the show notes and stuff off of Google Docs. I hate it, but it's so convenient. I know the paradox, and it sucks. But yeah, so he'd been locked out and had been trying to recover them for over 3 weeks, and his attempts were unsuccessful. And Google gave him the runaround. They basically treated him, who is a developer who puts a video game on their apps, because it's in Google Play and things like that, and it was going to come to their massive failure of a system and streaming service. And he's like, you know what? If this is how you do it, he said, to quote him, I absolutely have not done anything to violate your terms of service, so I can take this no other way than you deciding to burn this bridge. Consider it burned. Torreira for Google Stadia is canceled. My company will no longer support any of your platforms moving forward. Good for him. Yeah. He goes on to say, I will not be involved with a corporation that values their customers and partners so little. Doing business with you is a liability. And so, yeah. Yeah, and he went on to explain why this is, he's had it for a long time. So, my phone's lost access to thousands of dollars of apps at Google Play because he spent money there, and now it's all gone. I had just bought Lord of the Rings 4K and can't finish it. I mean, dude, that was kind of your bad. Don't buy Lord of the Rings on Google. You can actually stream that, I think, on HBO or Hulu or something in 4K. My Google Drive data is completely gone. I can't access his YouTube channel. And as a developer, kind of important. I'm sure he uses it quite a bit. And the worst of all is losing access to my Gmail address of over 15 years. So because of that, he's like, you know what? Fuck you. Yeah, we're not going to do it. So it's the good news is Torreira is at least staying on the PlayStation Store. If you've bought it, you're not going to lose it. They're not punished. They're unlike Google. They don't want to punish their customers. Yeah. They actually stated, Relogic, which is the company that makes Torreira, punishing existing customers who paid for our game on these platforms is not what we are about. To be clear, there should be no impact whatsoever to Torreira, wow, that's a tongue twister, on Google platforms, both existing purchased games, as well as ongoing store availability. So it's staying there, but they're not anything they come out with from now on isn't coming out on Google. And I say, good for them. Yeah. That's bullcrap. I'm looking through the comments and stuff like this, at least like on IGN here. The first one is of a guy who had the exact same situation. There's quite a few people all over the place. That's Google. I mean, they're just a massive black hole. They don't care. They want your data. They don't care about you. You don't get all this stuff for free. I don't get this stuff for free. I give them as little as I possibly can. Anytime it's like, would you like to? No, I would not like to share my data. It doesn't mean that they're still not taking it or using it, but doing what I can. So, yeah, that's just bad. I mean, you want to know how to not to run a company. Just bad customer service just lost them. That lost them money. That probably lost them at least, hundreds of thousands of dollars in sales and stuff like that, especially since they charge full price for things on Google Stadia. Duh, because that makes sense. Duh. But, yeah, so moving on. I honestly didn't think this would ever come about. Back in the day, what was that? 2009, when this was originally announced. It's a shooting game called 6 Days in Fallujah. It's a tactical shooter based on events that took place in 2004 during the Second Battle of Fallujah in Iraq, and it was revealed back in 2009. And it just got re-announced. It's actually going to come out. The new publisher is a company called Victura, and of course, it originally got canceled because of controversy surrounding it. It's like, it's a recruiting tool for the U.S. government and the military and the army, in which, first of all, it's not. And second of all, serving your country is not a bad thing. Protecting people's freedoms and rights. I know a lot of soldiers. My brother-in-law was in the Navy. Retired, actually, 20-plus years. My dad was in the Navy. My grandfather was a Marine. I, however, am lazy and didn't do any of those things because I'm a nerdy video game guy, and that's not what I do. I like guns, and I have several guns, but I also don't like physical exercise and running a lot or wearing like 60 pounds worth of gear. All of that sounds awful, and that's why I have even more respect for them. Oh, appreciate you following. You are do boy. But all of those things, it's not a recruiting tool. But I really didn't think it was going to ever come back. I thought it was really cool, and I'll get into the why of that after. I actually going to go through to prove that this isn't a recruiting tool. We're actually going to listen to the trailer of it. Why? Because we can do that. I can actually talk over things and do that. If I get to the right screen here. There we go. But they interviewed over 100 Marines and Marine soldiers and Iraq civilians in the making of this game. So they did their research. And to quote them, the U.S. government is not involved in making the game, nor are there any plans to use it for recruiting. The Marine soldiers and Iraq veterans who have helped us participate as private citizen in the game is being financed independently. Now, if you haven't watched the trailer, we're going to go ahead. Whoa, that's loud. We're going to at least listen to it.
Saddam had been captured.
And tell me if any of this sounds like something you would
The
like
Iraqi
listening
army
to.
scattered. Lawlessness and fear
It's showing
gave
scenes of
Az-Zarqawi his moment, and he was
Al-Qaeda and stuff
prepared.
taking over Fallujah.
They seized Fallujah, and the city was the first.
Okay, hold on one sec. I gotta see if I can turn that. Where's the? They got a mute button, but they don't have a turn down volume button. That figures. You know what we're gonna do? We're gonna do it the right way, the way I should have done it had I prepared better. Let's see here. There we go. I could look it up on.
The Iraqi army scattered.
There we go. That's better.
Lawlessness and fear gave
So
Az-Zarqawi his
they're showing
moment,
scenes of
and he was
real
prepared.
life stuff.
They seized Fallujah, and the city was the first to suffer under their black banner.
These terrorists were armed to the teeth. No one will fight against them.
It had to be
That's
stopped,
a civilian or
or
soldier
the
now.
country will turn over to Al-Qaeda.
November 9th, 2004, Coalition Forces launched the largest urban assault since 1968.
A fortress. It was
Switches
a
the
well-prepared
gameplay, which is
city,
good.
buttressed, waiting for us to come.
The only way you can clear a city is you have to search every house, you have to search every room, and you have to root out every insurgent.
Shows them going to a door.
We sustained hundreds and hundreds of casualties. A third of my battalion was killed or wounded.
Yeah,
It
that
was
sounds
the
like a
bunkers they
recruiting
would
tool.
build inside houses. And you would go in the house, it'd be all quiet. And then they would open up on you or shoot you through a hole in the wall.
If they didn't hit you right away with a machine gun, they would draw you all the way back to the back of the house where there's really nowhere to escape.
There's such a fear, so you're standing in front of the door.
Just let them talk.
You just kick down that door, and there's a sense of relief. You only feel it if you survive.
See, so far, they're being honest. I mean, I've listened to lots of soldiers. Like I said, I'm a big fan of the military and the soldier. Well, not so much the military as the soldiers within it. And that's exactly how I've always heard everyone describe it. Just it's the stress that your life's on the line. People are trying to kill you, and you have to kill them before they kill you, and you're trying to do your job. So I like that they're actually going this. Let's keep going here. Battle for Fallujah. Shows them going across the street, tagging military tactics recreated by those who were there. Goes to a wounded soldier. There's an explosion down the street. Now there's two soldiers in a hallway, and they're sweeping
We can tell you our stories.
room to room, being very careful.
We can show you our scars. But some moments must be experienced.
And they're getting ready to go and turn the knob on the last door at the end of the hallway. 6 days in Fallujah. Big title splash.
I think we've done a really good job of appreciating service members. I think we've done a very poor job of telling the actual story of what happened.
Moment of truth. So that's the whole trailer there. If you want to see that, look up 6 Days in Fallujah. I'm excited to play that because it's not this is clearly not it's not Call of Duty or even Battlefield or anything like that. It looks like a very realistic take on what it was like to be there, and it tells the story of soldiers having to do this job and the horrors that they had to go through. I don't know all of the gameplay, obviously. I'm hoping it doesn't seem like they're making any of this like bullet spongy and over the top. One of the reasons I actually am really excited for this game is because I think this fills a hole that video games have grossly underplayed themselves. The thing with video games, unlike even a cinematic experience like Saving Private Ryan or Lone Survivor, which is the story of Marcus Luttrell and his SEAL team on Operation Red Wing. Those are all great, and they really give the Chris Kyle thing, American Sniper. Those give you a good sense of what it's like, but you're still just watching it. You're experiencing it in a way, but you're not there. With video games, you're controlling the person. You are the person. And I think that could give you a real sense of self and what it's like to be there, especially if there's stakes. I mean, yes, you're not going to die. You're not going to feel the pain or anything like that if you do take a hit. But at how quickly things can turn. And one of the areas I think video games should focus on more is recreating experiences and events throughout history in realistic and less gamey ways. Like, tell a story. There's so many amazing stories, not just in U.S. history, but in world history, all throughout time. Even as silly as it is, the I am the way, the Jesus story, that's actually kind of in this vein if they do it properly and they're not like, it's not like some sort of satire thing. If they're actually telling biblical stories, cool. That's an awesome thing, especially if they stay true to the spirit and meaning of it without putting in their 2 cents and things like this. This sounds like interviewing 100 soldiers. They didn't have to do that. They could have just looked up a bunch of interviews and stuff online, but they went out and they interviewed over 100 people and built this thing based off of that. So I've always thought video games are really missing out on this. There's, they don't have to glorify it like in this. They don't have to glorify, rah, USA, jihadi's bad, brah, kill the Muslims. Brah. We don't need that. It happened in history. You don't have to recreate. You don't have to embellish it. You don't have to go above and beyond. Just recreate it as is. It is a story that happened, and I'm sure it could happen. And there's multiple ways it can be taken, because obviously not all Muslims are bad. We know that. In fact, it's only a fraction of them that have this extremist view. Just like there's only a fraction of any faction, Christian. I always said Muslim. Jews, I don't know, Heddites. Just take your pick. Maybe not the Quakers. There was the Quaker Oats faction that did branch off, and they seem to have done fairly well for themselves. But every faction, every group of people has their extremists. It happens. It sucks because people are shitty. That's just the way it is. But I would really love to see more video games retell stories of history. And they don't have to keep focusing on battle and things like that. There are plenty of just amazing personal stories that can be told and things like that into the day-to-day lives of what were average people that went on to do crazy things. It's just an aspect of video games I wish they'd focus on more. I think probably one of the coolest things it was not great, but it was a VR experience that took I forget who it was, an English bomber going over Germany, and it just took the radio chatter from that live. They cleaned it up and stuff like that. They just left exactly it was recorded back in World War II. And then put you in the bomber in a cockpit. They recreated that as you were flying over down below. It was like a 15-minute experience, and it was super cool. And you have the bombs exploding off to the side. You could see the fires down below. It was a neat experience, and things like that are unfortunately too few and far between, which is a shame. And so I'm going to move on from that. Go to a little HBO here. For those of you that don't know, The Last of Us is going to be made into a TV show or a series on HBO, and they've cast Joel as Pedro Pascal. You might know him as the Mandalorian, most famously. He was also in Game of Thrones as I forget, the Viper, I think it was. He's really good. I do love him. The other one that they just cast was the little girl that will be playing Ellie, which is also a Game of Thrones alumni and probably a character my wife and I we're like, she's a little badass, was the girl that played Bella Ramsey, which was she was the noble woman being in quotations of, no, she was, yeah. Oh, no, she's being played, okay, so I got that back. The girl's name is Bella Ramsey. I forgot there were Ramseys in Lord of the Rings, but she played Lyanna Mormont in Game of Thrones, the noblewoman. And the girl's name is Bella Ramsey, not to be confused with the Ramseys, which were also in Game of Thrones. It's not confusing at all. I got that backwards. My bad. But she was an awesome little actress. She was really badass, and I think she'll make a pretty good Ellie. I'm not displeased with that. That would be a hard casting, because a lot of the people that Ellie was clearly based off of, like Ellen Page or Elliot Page now, whatever, very clearly has way aged out of that role. She's looking more and more her age because she's closer to my age than anything else. So, it happens, we get old. But that'll be really cool. I'm excited to see that. I love The Last of Us. I like The Last of Us 2 too, is regardless of the controversy. But that'll be neat. I'm looking forward to seeing how they do that. So, with all that, the big one. Let's go on to why Amazon Game Studios is apparently a steaming pile of crap. This actually came, originally this whole article came from Bloomberg. IGN did a little piece on it based on Bloomberg. I'll kind of bounce. Bloomberg has a lot of the relevant information. IGN's more of a cut thing. Now, of course, the title doesn't shows the difference. I'm not a fan of Michael Bloomberg. I think he's a giant piece of shit. But Bloomberg actually does some pretty good stuff. The Bloomberg article title is Amazon can make just about anything except a good game. The company produces successful movies, TV shows, e-readers, and speakers, but gaming has proven difficult to crack. Now, to show IGN's version of it, Amazon Game Studios report detailed struggle of bro culture, mismanage it, and cancel projects. Of course, they focus on the bro culture, which I think is an idiotic term, to be sure, not to say that it doesn't happen, but the fact that in this, like, several, like, dozens of paragraph article, that was, like, 1 or 2 paragraphs. And not good, don't get me wrong, and I'm not saying they're even wrong on this. I'm just saying of all the things you focus on for your headline, you have to go with the woke outrage thing. Of course you do, because the multi-billion-dollar company known for abusing its people, who would have thought also doesn't treat women very well, who are, I don't know if many are aware of this, also people. Women are, in fact, also people and can be equally treated just as shitty as any other people. It's so dumb. It's so transparent. No, you're just a white male and you're just butthurt about it. No, I'm not. It's just, of all the things they focused on, that's their first paragraph has to bring that up. It's literally like one of the most irrelevant parts of the story in the massive fuck up that is apparently Amazon Game Studios. Like I said earlier, I really thought Amazon Game Studios was going to rock the fucking world. Boy, was I wrong. So let's get into this. The whole thing, there's a guy named Mike Frazzini. He's kind of an important character in all this because he heads Amazon Game Studios. Now, the great thing about Mike is that he shares my name, and that's pretty much where the similarities and greatness ends, because beyond that, he's not good. Has no experience, still has, according to what I've seen, still has after 12 years of running this program. Wait, not 12 years, 9 years. It came out, Amazon Game Studios started in 2012, which, by the way, didn't know that. It seemed like they just kind of came about more recently in the last 5 years, but apparently they spent all that time jerking off in a corner and trying to make their own game engines, which was dumb. But we'll get into that. So Frazzini, he's an ass kisser that came up through the book section in Amazon. I mean, there's not really any nicer way to put it. He brown-nosed himself with Bezos, talked himself into the head of the games division. The only thing he's really done for Amazon and the studio is he spent, he didn't spend it, but he had them spend $1 billion to buy Twitch, which is why Amazon is now owned by Twitch. Which, good, that turned out to be a good move. Ironically, having read through this, the Twitch department now that runs its own things, anytime he tries to do like a collab with them, they're like, yeah, like, bruh, not even, like, bruh, I ain't gonna do it because, like, bruh, nah. That's gonna come up a lot today. They're just bad. So, man, Amazon obviously has a lot of resources, to the point where when the studio started, they had a lot of really great people with them. They hired people like Kim Swift, who was a designer on a game some of you might know as Portal. A few of you may have heard that. It's probably one of the best games out there of all time, arguably, depending on your style. Did I get that? It says Clint. I'm sure that's probably Clint Hawking, not Clink Hawking. I totally mistyped that. He was a director of Far Cry 2, Richard Hallman, he's part of the Madden series, did a lot of stuff for that. And someone I know real well, John the Smed Smedley, who was the head and CEO of Sony Online Entertainment and Daybreak Games, and is responsible for a lot of stuff that happened in EQ 1 and 2. And while he has his faults, he was right to get out of Daybreak, but wrong to probably go to Amazon. Now, the thing is, of all those people, Smed is the only one that's left. Now, why is that? Because Frazzini hired all these amazing people, all these creative geniuses behind some of the most prolific games. I mean, whether you like Madden series or not, year after year, one of the top sellers. Portal, again. Far Cry 2, again. EverQuest, yeah. They're all gone, except for the Smed, because he ignored all their stuff. They would make comments, and they would make, excuse me, make suggestions, and he's like, but what if we didn't? It's just ridiculous. Why would you hire that kind of talent and not use them, not utilize them? And he would come in and he apparently he's, and this is according to a number of former employees. And I understand former employees, they have an axe to grind, probably, but that doesn't also mean that they're always wrong. And that's, if it's multiple people, some of which are still there, but under the guise of anonymity to avoid backlash, which there would be, he's frequently told staff that every Amazon game needed to be a $1 billion franchise, and then would understaff the project and, but then be like, well, what's going on? Why is this not coming out? And one of the things I said earlier, instead of using like Unreal Engine or Unity Engine, paying engines that we know work fantastic, he wanted Amazon to do its own thing, which I think they call Lumberyard, if I'm remembering off. It's further down the article, and which would have been great. It would have saved the company tons of money down the line, if it wasn't a giant pile of crap that really didn't do nearly as well as, say, Lumberyard, or not Lumberyard, but say Unity and Unreal Engine do. So that was a misstep. That's something a rookie that doesn't even know a lot about games would probably do. And one of my favorite things, because I joked about this early on in RPMO Radio, which is our previous podcast on role-playing, I did this as a joke when I first heard about New World. I was talking to Jazz. I said, so what are we going to do in this? Are we like killing indigenous people and Indians and stuff? Are we just a bunch of colonials? And history is history, good and bad. I'll take it for what it is. Now, if they were recreating the massacre of, I just forgot the thing, Wounded Knee and things like that, that is a game I think should be made and shown, because it's a dark side of U.S. history. That's absolutely fair. You're going to kill Indians. You're going the Indian. That's and it should feel awful. It should be a terrible thing that makes you realize, and especially given that how many of those people got the Congressional Medal of Honor after that to try to cover up when they were like, oh, shouldn't have done that. Yeah, they. So we're going to call it the Battle of Wounded Knee, and only recently has it actually become more of what it actually was, a massacre. I'll be fair to history. It was a massacre. But I joked that, so are we just, a bunch of Spaniards coming and killing? I mean, given it's magic and stuff, sure, but it's still called New World. Americas were called the New World. Made stand to reason. I was joking. It was a joke. I thought it was a joke. I really thought. So according to this, executives under Frazzini initially rejected charges that the New World, an Amazon game that would ask players to colonize a mythical land and murder inhabitants who bear a striking resemblance to Native Americans, was racist. He didn't see it. They relented after Amazon hired a tribal consultant who found that the portrayal was indeed offensive, say two people who worked on the project. You'd think? The fact that they hired a tribal Indian guy, I don't know what tribe he was from, it doesn't matter. They could have hired a white dude and been like, yeah, guys, like, seriously? You don't see that depiction? Maybe, I mean, have you looked at the news today? Because that's probably going to be problematic. So they turn them into zombies. I don't know. I know my friend Jazz is looking forward to this game a lot more than I am. Hates zombies, so I'm sure. Although I have a feeling she would prefer to be killing zombies than a bunch of Native Americans, because that's not cool. I don't know if I have to say that on this or not, but that's not okay. But apparently they had to hire someone to be sure to be like, yeah, that's not okay. So a lot through here, a lot of this is based on interviews from 30 Ferber and current Amazon employees. Now, the thing that shocks me is Amazon spends like apparently $500 million a year operating the video game division. $500 million a year. There's games like Last of Us and things like that don't spend half of that in like the 4 or 5 year cycle of their development. It's $1 billion every 2 years. This thing's been going on for 9. Now I understand it probably ramped up at some point, and that may not be the exact, but that's what they've given me here. So if you collaborate that out, that's $4.5 billion over the last few years. For what have we gotten out of that? We got Crucible, which is gone, and some fuck-off racy car game that was tied in with, what was that? Top Gear. I think it's Top Gear. TV show. That was, it was a game. I don't know. I don't know. I don't know where all that money is going to. And by the way, too, that amount doesn't include Twitch, buying the $1 billion with Twitch. That's not included in this, or the new project under different manager, which is building a service to stream games to a computer, phone, or Amazon Fire TV. So they're trying to make their own Amazon Stadia, basically, or was it xCloud of what Microsoft is doing. That's separate from this $500 million. This is just for Amazon Game Studio, apparently, which is mind-boggling. They're collaborating on things like Facebook and Google. Have also been ineffective. They tried doing different things. Because according to this, video games are a combination of art, entertainment, technology, and very large budgets. But big tech companies only really figured out the last two. Entertainment, technology and large budgets. They still don't have art, and they still don't have entertainment. Now, Amazon's films division does great. Like The Amazing Miss Maisel. I think The Amazing Miss Maisel. Love that show. They've got some really good, they've got some great TV shows. That's a totally different beast than video games. TV, movies, and video games, all three of them are completely different beasts. They have similarities. They have writing. They've got pictures on a screen, but that's pretty much where the similarities end. The way you do a TV show is not the way you do a 2.5 hour movie or hour-and-a-half hour movie. When you have to stretch, like 10 1-hour episodes over, so 10 hours, it's a 10-hour movie basically. It's just, and they don't seem to understand that. They just think the technology and large budgets are all they need, and clearly that isn't working because of the number of games they've canceled. And it's still, according to this, a lot of studios like finding the fun. Is the game fun to play? Am I enjoying it? Is this something other people would enjoy? Those are the kind of things game developers ask themselves. This kind of makes sense. I mean, you're playing a video game. You don't want to be like, you know what? I am bored out of my mind. In just about a minute more of playing this game, I'm going to put a barrel in my mouth because this is just not that fun at all. And then they see that and they're like, maybe we should stop this project. Yeah, because it's awful and it's boring. And sometimes that still comes out. because they're like, "Yeah, fuck it, we're already this far. Let's go ahead and try it." Other times they cancel it, like EA did with Star Wars 1313. I don't know what. That game looked awesome. The footage was great. I like Nathan Drake in space. But for some reason, there must have been something fundamentally wrong or broken with that game that made them cancel that after the millions of dollars they spent. But Amazon doesn't go off that. They go off of statistics. They go off of data because Amazon, like Google, has a shit ton of data. They got all that stuff. They, I think I said last time, they want to actually get to the point where they can know what you want to order before you want to order it. So while finding the fun is what most studios do, Amazon has things like customer obsession. Loot crates. And frugality as part of their 14 leadership principles. And Frazzini's been with Amazon for so long. He's a numbers guy. Everything is scaled. They think everything is measured. According to a guy named Jason Child, who spent more than a decade in Amazon's finance department, if you don't come in line with that approach, you'll struggle at Amazon. If someone is a guru in video games and they go to Amazon, will they be successful? Probably not. Probably not. Yeah, so because they have a totally different corporate structure than most video games. They're not a game development company, even though this division should run totally different than the rest of Amazon. It doesn't. It bases itself on numbers and data. And for Bezos himself, who recently, they say he stepped down as CEO, but he's still there and still gonna have a huge thing. But Bezos himself, basically, the only thing he wants out of this is more reasons for people to subscribe to Amazon Prime. It's the same thing Microsoft does with Game Pass. The more people they get, I think the last time on Game Pass was like 19 million at $15 a piece. That's a good chunk of change. And then the more they get, the more revenue that brings in, and the more it's a compounding thing. It's the circle of life in a corporate way. So with Bezos, that's his thing. He just threw money at things, offering development teams as long as they needed, and which is great. But all that mattered was that they make the most ambitious games possible, ones that would draw gamers into Amazon Prime's ecosystem and showcase the technical capabilities of its cloud division. And apparently, they wanted to allow 10,000 people to play a single game session, which the new team was as a lofty target. But at the same time, what was the game? They don't even. There's no game attached to this. They just called it. Apparently, around the office, they just called it Bezos's games. Yeah, whatever. Sure. Bezos has these dumb ideas he wants us to do because, again, he doesn't know how to make video games. Frazzini doesn't know how to make video games. So let's just keep throwing ideas. So it says, it goes on here how Frazzini helped kick it off in 2012, and they were going to do things for the Amazon Fire Phone. Remember that? Anybody else remember the Amazon Fire Phone? Anybody? Anybody actually have one of those? Or knew somebody that had one of those? I didn't. They're all just forgetting the name of my Samsung, not Samsung. This is a stupid phone. Galaxy, the S, Galaxy series and stuff like that, and the iPhones. That's all it was. So they kept going. They set up in headquarters up in Seattle because, of course, they did. How's that working out for you? Probably really great. They called it Relentless Studios, using one of Bezos' favorite adjectives for the company. Because let's be relentless. That sounds like such a corporate thing to say. Excuse me. And then he went on to hire the people I said earlier, Kim Swift. Yes, it was Clint Hawking and all those, John Smedley and Richard Hellman. So at first, they were talking about how these new recruits, they thought they were going to be, entering this fantasy land. They were paid double market rates, lucrative packages in Amazon stock, which kept, of course, rising at the time. I think it still probably does, but now it's crazy expensive to even get in because it's not GameStop. And overtime requests were infrequent, and it was good. It was real good. Now here's where this I've just gone through all that, and remember this was IGN's first pickup was the bro culture. According to this, the one aspect of working for Amazon that felt similar to traditional gaming studios was the studios cultivated a bro culture in which women often weren't given the same opportunity as men, former employees say. Now, I'm going to read this just as is because to abbreviate it, I might miss something. And I'm not to say these women are wrong, because if that's how they felt, that's probably how they felt. And I actually, reading from this guy, how he ignores everybody, Frazzini, I can see why nothing's getting by, and the fact that they have to do 6-page documents to get anything done probably also didn't help them not feel this way. But people's feelings and reality don't always correlate. It happens. But at the same time, I can't say that they weren't because I wasn't there. And it's very possible that these guys, I've known supervisors in the post office that just don't seem to really like women for whatever reason. Even though, by the way, surprise, a lot of rural carriers are women. We actually have, I think, more women carriers than men, which might come as a surprise to people. I don't know why. It's the postmen, right? Nope. Actually, there's more post women than there are post men. It's just the way it is. I'm going to read here. 4 female game developers say their worst experience of sexism in the industry were at Amazon. Not too surprising. They shared stories of being ignored and undermined by male executives and say they were eventually driven out of the company. One former employee says male colleagues completely ignored her comments in meetings. Another says a member of senior leadership impeded her career growth after she disagreed with him, and that he created new management positions above her and filled them with men. Seems very likely. People are assholes, and supervisors especially. They get such a power trip on a lot of times. And it sucks. It sucks. I have no doubt that probably happened. I'm not saying that the people involved are angels on all sides either. I don't know. These people could have just been assholes too, and were like, they could have been Karens for all we know. We don't know. But that's still no excuse. If this happened, then that's not a good thing. It's not a way to run your company, because regardless of who they are, they should be listened to. If you've got a good idea, listen to it. Instead, they come in here and they're all like,
I am the Senate.
Yeah, no, you're not. You just stop it. Stop it. You can't do that. So here, according to this here, other employees registered less consequential complaints about all the company jargon thrown around the office. I think, and that was it. That right there, that was the paragraph that IGN focused on, was that one brief paragraph of the bro culture. Why was that the main focus of their article? That's the headline and everything. It's not even a focus of it's just one paragraph. That's all there is, which is not good. I get it, blah, blah, blah. But that's not the focus. The focus is that the entire company is ran like a giant steaming pile of flaming garbage shit, which is shit that is garbage and then thrown into a garbage can. Garbage shit. That's how that works. So a lot of the complaints, there's a lot of... Frazzini regularly expanded on Amazon leadership principles. One of this is where you really start to see the rotten core of this, why this is not working. One of those was hire and develop the best, which is flattering to the employees, but didn't tell the full story. This is according to Child, which was earlier. The falafels that Amazon takes is hiring expertise is secondary to having leaders who follow the Amazon principles. Amazon does hire experts from various industries, but does not expect these folks but does expect these folks to adopt the Amazon way. Sorry for the way I'm reading today. I'm getting parched. I mentioned it's cold. So they're hiring all those great people, like I said before, and there's even those are the top tier. There's a lot of other really talented developers and stuff like that they pulled from other companies that are amazing, and they bring them in, and they're expected to adopt the Amazon way of doing things, which is not how you can make a game. It just doesn't work that way. They wanted. They established it on their own principles. The credos frequently. Oh, and the credos frequently changed, and sometimes were in tension with one another. Say 4 people who worked there. Each game world should accommodate as many people. This is where things go wrong. As many players as possible, yet also be fun to play solo at the same time. So they want one thing, but also you have to have another. Now, and that's not to say that hasn't happened, like MMOs, that you have to be able to play with lots and lots of people, but you also have to be able to solo in them. It works, but that doesn't work for like a Call of Duty scale type of game. You can't really have, especially if you want that to both be concurrent. Yeah, Call of Duty has its multiplayer and a single-player campaign, but you can't like combine that. It doesn't. That it very rarely works. You can't do that. They according to this, they want to have huge financial successes like the Call of Duty, but they wanted to innovate, and unlike anything, they wanted them to innovate. They wanted to do what things have been done, but innovate it in a way that's never been done before. You can't do both. You have to do one or the other. You do your Hideo Kojimas. You create your own shit, or you just, do what someone else did but better. Kojima, for all his stuff, he makes up his own stuff. I haven't played Death Stranding, but I've watched a lot of it. That's its own thing. I mean, it's kind of like a crazy walking simulator kind of a thing, but it's its own Kojima thing. He innovated. He innovates. That's what he does. He comes up with crazy stuff. Nier Automata, that is an RPG in a lot of ways, but story-wise and the way it goes about telling the story and the way it jumps around, totally innovative. I get that. You can't be like, let's be innovative, but let's recreate Final Fantasy 12. That's not innovating. You're just copying something else. You can't do both. At least not that I know of. So it's just keeps on going. It's just so much. The other problem here is Amazon's a lot of game studios and Cyberpunk recently did this, but they actually waived it. If a game does well, they get a bonus. Because of what happened with Cyberpunk, CD Projekt Red actually waived that this time because they released a giant janky pile of crap on consoles, and the reviews were really bad, and that wasn't fair to the people because that was like the bigwigs and corporate that forced them to do what they were doing and push it out when they pushed it out. Because even though it had been delayed multiple times and all that stuff. So that's how they get financial incentives. You do good work, you make me a good game, my company makes lots of money, and we pass those savings on to you, the little guy. That's how this works. Amazon? Yeah, Amazon Lumberyard. I haven't quite got there yet, Scribble. Yeah. We're good. Yeah. But anyway, so Amazon doesn't do that. They don't give their guys incentives. Instead, they're just like, meh. Amazon stock plan, it rewards employees for time spent at the company, not what they're doing with the company. This is kind of like me at the post office. I don't get my raises based on my job performance, my accuracy in delivering, my customer complaints, which I've gotten some weird ones. Someone actually accused me of playing whack-a-mole with their sprinkler system. I think I was actually walking through the yard on a 105-degree day and letting it spray on me, but they're like, he's playing whack-a-mole with my things. He's trying to stomp on my sprinkler heads. My supervisor was like, did you try to stomp on this guy's sprinkler heads? I'm like, oh, no, but I walked through his yard a little bit and got some, cooled off some. But no, I wasn't playing whack-a-mole with the sprinkler heads. I get I get increased pay for time spent with the company. And with the post office, that's fine. Because I'm not making video games. I'm not creating anything. I'm just delivering mail and doing parcels. So with Amazon, they've got no reason to be in it. Why they're in no hurry. They always, according to this, they prioritize job preservation over anything else, according to the 3 employees. They've watched colleagues avoid arguments and only seek to placate bosses like Frazzini, even if they disagreed with it, which this probably goes to the bro culture thing earlier that the women were complaining about. One of them spoke out, and according to that caused them to do it. Probably because the culture they've cultivated there doesn't encourage anybody, male or female, to speak out. And if somebody does that, you're the tallest nail on the board, and you're going to get hammered down, which is unfortunate. And don't get me wrong, not right, but that's exactly what this kind of company culture would create. I don't know how, if you can't. I disagree with my boss. I like her. She's a friend. She was a carrier before she was my boss now, and I disagree with her. Sometimes I'm wrong. Sometimes she's wrong. It happens. You know what? But I feel with her. I can actually tell her that. I can mansplain it to her, which is the way it should be, obviously. Kidding. Can't believe I have to say I'm kidding when I tell a joke like that. But we get over it, and then we move on, and we're still friends, and she's still my supervisor, and it's all good. It's cool. But at a place like this, that's not going to happen. And here's another thing that really comes out, and I've mentioned this multiple times now, is Frazzini has no experience making video games, and this shows up over and over and over. So, and because according to this, a standard industry ritual when the boss plays early prototype and offers feedbacks. So he would come in and they'd mock up like a tiny little cell of the game, or even like a video of like, okay, here's what it's gonna look like, in the thing, and here's what we want, blah blah blah. So he would go to these focus groups, and a variety of them recall that he would say, why is it that color? And seems fun. When will it be ready? Seems fun. Yeah, he has no idea what. I don't even know that. I don't know why this guy's in charge of it. I don't even know that he plays video games by the sound of it. I only play video games, and I think I know more and would run this company better than he does. Scribbles in the chat. He definitely would. He's at least making an MMO. He does things. He's a thing doer. Which, by the way, it's good to see, Scribbles. Glad you're able to do it, even though it's weird doing it in the middle of a Monday. But I was off, and because it's President's Day, and I didn't do it on the weekend because I'm lazy. That's just how things work. So he would do. I mean, why is it this color? You're watching like a 10-15 minute thing of us making a game from the ground up when our crappy lumberyard thing, which eventually does change when a new guy comes in. And that's your color? Or that's your question? Why is it that color? And it says, on a different occasion, another developer says, the team cringed as Vizzini struggled to differentiate between hyper-polished conceptual footage and live gameplay. A sign that he didn't understand the technology. So, like we all see those. We see these early Cyberpunk videos when they started showing us stuff like that. The Witcher, Watch Dogs, Spider-Man, they all had like conceptualized footage. It was kind of running on the game, but it was, this is where you get things like the game releases and it seems like it downscaled. Anthem was extremely bad at this. That's concept kind of footage. Is it running on the engine? Yes. Is it running the entire game and the whole engine? No, it's just a small little bit of it. But he doesn't get the difference between that working at the company and what it's like to release an actual full game with all the gameplay, all the systems and mechanics running in the background, blah, 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 blah. All things that take resources, which is typically why a game goes from looking like it did in Anthem and Watch Dogs and Spider-Man in those first concept and released videos, and then it gets downscaled because once they add all the other shit in there, that takes resources from the computer or console, which are limited and finite, as opposed to infinite, which is forever. And he doesn't get the difference. I honestly didn't know much about this guy until I read this article, and I think I've read this now. I think I read it 3 times before I did the show, and I'm reading it. I'm going through it paragraph by paragraph here. I know, I'm sorry if this is tedious to people. I find this shit fascinating, and I don't understand how a $1 trillion company like Amazon can have a department that is so poorly run as Amazon Games Division is. It boggles my mind. Everyone's given CD Projekt Red shit for what they did with Cyberpunk. Well deserved. Amazon is, in my opinion, having read this, it's 10 times worse than any way CD Projekt Red has been run. At least they've released several games. Amazon has 2, and one of them is now seemingly in infinite beta, a New World. It was supposed to be out like 6 months by now, but they keep having to redo it because it's not good. So, moving on. According to this too, some of the meetings for Xenia would get sidetracked. This is the part that, and this actually, having read this, I can now see why all these games have come and gone at Amazon Studios, and many of them have failed. He'd come in with like the latest Venture Beat article about whatever game was making the most money. You know, like Call of Duty just sold. I think they just like the most it's ever made. Warzone just made the most money. Or when Fortnite came out, because remember, Amazon Studios is doing this entire. Yeah, actually, it mentions Fortnite right here. It was doing this, so he would come in with articles from Wired and Riot Games' League of Legends, which inspired Amazon project called Nova, which was canned in 2017. Epic Games' Fortnite led another Amazon game, Intensity, canceled in 2019. Activision Blizzard Inc.'s Overwatch begot Crucible, which I actually have reviewed on this podcast back when there was lots of people on it several months back when it came out, which suffered the same fate. It at least got into it released, and then it went horribly wrong. It was not a good game. Then they closed it to take it down, and they were saying they're going to do beta, and then they canceled it. Why? Because Overwatch exists, and theirs was value brand Overwatch, and a great value brand Overwatch, bought off of a Walmart shelf, and then quickly discontinued because it turns out it contained, lead. I take your botulism. It was just a can of botulism. It was bad. It was just not a fun game. They had 2 modes. One of them was just garbage. The other one was mediocre at best. They're just not good. And given the fact that this all comes because Frazzini comes in with like, hey guys, y'all heard of this Fortnites? I hear that people, the young kids, the childrens, they love this Fortnites. We need to make a Fortnites. Can we make a Fortnites? How long will that take? Can you have that done by, like at the end of the month or something like that? Is that how long that'll take? End of the month of the Fortnites? Bad. As far as I know, Cletus is running it. So, here's the real sad thing. Amazon's most successful gaming property isn't even a game. It's Twitch, which they bought. 26 million people a day watch live videos of other people playing video games, which you could tell this is written. You could tell this is written by someone at Bloomberg, because this at least on the IGN article, they kind of overdid. Should I use that one? More scribbles. That's my Cletus voice. I run Amazon Game Studios. My name's Mike Frazzini. You guys like them Amazons? I love the Amazons. It comes with the box. It's got that smile face. Now, most people don't know that smile is not a smile. It's actually an arrow that points from A to Z, because Amazon has everything from A to Z, but we made it a smile because we're a happy company. Give us your data. Give us all of your data now. All right, sorry. Yeah, Twitch is their biggest thing. Like I said, that's what got him in the position he is, because August 2014, they got it for $970 million. We'll just round it up to $1 billion. And that later proved to be a bargain. Yes, that actually was a really good move, because they bought it for literally pennies on the dime to these days. Facebook's tried it, Google, Microsoft, they all tried to, rest in peace, Mixer. And all the multiple $1 million you threw at people like Ninja and things like that, you fucking twat waffles. That was so stupid. Not that they tried to make it, that's perfectly fine, but that they threw that kind of money at into individuals just to try to boost it, just dumb as a box of rocks. So, and all of those have failed. Facebook, Google, Microsoft, they've all failed. Twitch is it has its issues. It's got a lot of that, just the wokeness. I mean, the one person that thinks they're a deer, a female deer, they're transgender, which is fine. I don't care. Animal transgender thing, it's a little creepy and it seems like more of a problem. But the fact that they were saying things like, I have power now and you better watch out and things like that, given I'm not worried about it, because who the hell's, I'm ever going to come up on their radar. But if they did, oh well, I'd just go to YouTube, because whatever. It's not great either, and it's definitely not more, but at least YouTube actually has more people randomly finding things than anything on Twitch ever will. So, but Twitch has its issues, but it's still the biggest and the best. And after the Twitch deal too, Bezos said that he was going to have the two work closely with Amazon Game Studio. And this is, I love this, that the Twitch would serve as a free marketing vehicle for Amazon games, and the games, in turn, would offer Twitch viewers features they couldn't get anywhere else. So basically, I think what they were wanting to do was make Amazon games and Twitch into like a Steam kind of a thing, but like one would promote the other. And I'm just going to read this because you can just hear like the no from the Twitch people. The two teams held day-long brainstorming sessions, but the summits didn't amount to much, according to the people who attended. One concept they did pursue together was a series of celebrity events to promote their games and sell subscriptions to Amazon Prime. They held one in New Jersey featuring Clerks filmmaker Kevin Smith, who I love. He's a cool guy. Glad he lost all that weight and is not having heart attacks and stuff. Attempt to land other stars, including Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson, for a second event in Las Vegas, and were unsuccessful, and he just, fucking got Smith to come back, and then they shelved the entire thing. But the best part is the Twitch chief, Emmett Shear, was reluctant to assign his employees to a project for the game studios. Two people who worked with him say one proposal pushed by Frazzini in 2017 asked Twitch to help build a digital game store. See what I told you? I knew I got that somewhere. The former employee says the idea would allow Amazon to pay 30%. Would avoid. Let's read that again. The idea would allow Amazon to avoid paying the 30% sales commission to Steam, the most popular storefront for PC games. Twitch employees weren't thrilled because Amazon didn't have any big games, which would attract shoppers. Frazzini's employees assigned to collaborate on the project protested because bypassing Steam would shrink their market. Withholding a game from Steam, they argued, is the equivalent of refusing to sell a book on Amazon, which is a brilliant point by those people. The project was due for more staffing and blah, 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 and it languished inside. It basically never took off because Twitch people are like, yeah, you guys are a fucking dumpster fire. And even the people at Amazon Studios were like, yeah, if we don't release it on Steam, we're not selling the game because Steam is us in video games. We're, unfortunately, us in video games, which is not good because we're Amazon Game Studio and we're bad. We're all very bad. We're not. I'm sure there's plenty of fine people, but the studio, bad. So, moving on from that, it didn't matter. Because Frazzini, with his ADHD, something I can understand, but not when you're the head of a company like this, is already fixated on another project anyway. He already had moved off from it. He's just, like, all over the place. Between bringing in, BuzzFeed articles on possible latest, video game crazes and things like that, he's also like, that's shiny. I wonder if we can make a Baby Yoda-based game without the license of Baby Yoda. He's not, but I'm sure he probably thought of it. So Amazon's designers and programmers needed a game engine and a collection of tools used to build games. And I'm just, like I said, for most people, there's really like the two main options. There's Epic's Unreal Engine, their Coke, according to this article, which is good, and Unity software, which is Pepsi. Some people like one over the other. Some people don't know the difference. Some people think they taste the same. I'm just going to read this because, honestly, they said it. They made the joke better than I could. Unreal Engine is Coke. Unity Soft Incorporated is Pepsi. Amazon, in effect, decided to make RC Cola. Which, this is going to Lumberyard Scribbles. It licensed technology from a German company, Crytek, which is a great... The Cry engine is a great engine. But they didn't do the Crytek. They didn't do the Cry engine. They used Crytek and made a homemade engine called Lumberyard. Which, by the way... Where did you come up with lumberyard? I mean, we can build anything with it. It's like a lumberyard, it's just the best. I bet you, lumberyards, they have wood, they have nails, they have construction workers, I assume. I've never been to one because I live in Seattle. But they've got that thing so we can build anything we want in a lumberyard. That's how this works. That's assuming how I think that conversation went, and I'm probably not that far off. But yeah, he assigned a team of engineers to build this. It released to the public in 2016 for free. I don't know if this is why you were asking, Scribble. If I don't know which engine you guys are using, but so I'm sorry if I'm trashing on your engine, but after having read what I have of how Amazon uses their own engine, I can't imagine it's fun to play with. I really hope it's not, but if it is, my bad. As a way to draw in a new class of software developers to the business. So they released it basically to be like, hey, you guys, use our engine. Help us. For the love of God, dear, and all that is holy, help us. We don't know what we're doing, and we need people to create things with this so we can use those resources too. That's how I assume that went. Frazzini, who reports to Web Services Chief Andy Jassy, also mandated that all Amazon games be built on Lumberyard rather than pay for Unreal or Unity. And it had Lumberyard good. Scribble's MMO is using Unity. You demand. See, glad you didn't do that. You didn't fall for the Amazon trap. Because it's a lumberyard and you can build anything in a lumberyard. Sorry. So it goes on to here. They brought in developers played Halo and watched Amazon Prime while waiting. Okay, so here's how bad Lumberyard is. I want to just go into this. Lumberyard became a boogeyman around the office. Some features required esoteric commands to function, and the system was painfully slow, to the point that developers working at Amazon Game Studio, making games for Amazon, played Halo or watched Amazon Prime Video while waiting for Lumberyard to process art and compile code, several former employees said. The common refrain around the office, according to a former employee, was Lumberyard, quote, Lumberyard is killing this company. It is that bad. I'm sure all these engines probably take time to process and do the thing that they do. But that you're sitting there and you're going through the Amazing Miss Maisel's 8-episode seasons, and you're like, well, it's time to bang out. That thing done yet? Nope, not yet. Probably not good. I'm just, from an outsider looking in, seems like a bad idea. Yeah. So they keep going on. Amazon's operation Here's the thing, and this is where I thought, like, oh my God, this company, because I think around the time that Lumberyard released is really when Amazon Game Studios started taking off. Because obviously before that, they weren't making games; they were making the shitty engine. And then after that, they started making their shitty games based off the shitty engine, based off the shitty ideas that their shitty CEO guy or manager was coming up with. Which leaves you with a giant pile of shit. And everything's shitty. That's just, it piles up after a while. So, but I really thought they were going to dominate, like I've said multiple times. And according to this quote, from the outside, though, Amazon's game operation was scaring competitors. It had some of the world's brightest mind, a deep budget, and the most sophisticated internet infrastructure on Earth. I'm sure Google would probably disagree with that, but it was building a proprietary engine, and TwitchCon in 2016, Amazon said it was working on 3 new games: Breakaway, Crucible, and New World. Nova, the League of Legends, Nova at this time was still under lock and key. It was there, but and all of these are now canceled except for New World. So that's 4 games, or 3 out of 4 gone. So here's where they tried to turn things around. Summer of 2018, Frazzini nabbed his biggest hire yet, a guy named Christopher Hartman. Now, you may not know game developers' names and stuff like that. I struggle with a lot of them. I know some of them when I see them, things like that. He's kind of a known guy. He's been, 2 decades at Take-Two Interactive Software Incorporated. And they published, little things that he was involved with, like BioShock and Mafia. Oh, BioShock and Mafia. Yeah, I never heard of those. Yeah, they're kind of a big deal, especially BioShock. Mafia is a huge series. Never got into it, even though I love Mafia stuff. But BioShock is one of my favorite fucking series of all time. It's fantastic. I love everything about those games. All 3 of them. I like all 3. Yes, 2 is the weakest in my opinion, but 1 and 3, fantastic. I absolutely love them. And they also had a couple high-profile failures, like the Bureau XCOM Declassified, which led to his kind of, demise on that. But still, he brought in Hartman. He was supposed to help fix everything up. He also pressed Amazon to publish titles made by other companies. He signed one deal with a Korean publisher, Smilegate. It's a weird name for a Korean company. It's a weird name for any company. To release a game in 2021. So they're trying to not release things basically like EA does. EA hires Respawn Entertainment, and they release Jedi Fallen Order under the EA banner. It works. It's tried and true. And honestly, any company that apparently is not in the internal structure of Amazon is probably better. This is the exact opposite of how all the other companies, anything done by like Nintendo's first party, Mario, Zelda, blah, 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 blah. Their stuff is always solid. They have the highest in quality control. For the most part, Sony and Microsoft. Sony probably more so than Microsoft. They have very few misses when it comes to their internal companies making a game. Although, and Microsoft has so many studios now. But, Sony does amazing things with the... now I'm totally drawing a blank. But there's very few first-party failures. Unlike Amazon, who is really, really the opposite and has very few first-party successes. Actually, they have no first-party successes, now that I actually think about it, because New World's not out, and it's not a success yet. It was... people are excited about it in beta, but not a success. So Hartman comes in. He's a good, he's a smart guy. He's come out with crazy stuff. And the company informed staff in 2018 that Jason Killer, a former Amazonian and one-time Hulu CEO, was rejoining the oversee Amazon's games division, and presumably become Frazzini's boss. So this is where things kind of get weird in the last several years. Supposedly, Frazzini's still at the helm of this, and they began aligning themselves with the more successful film and TV properties, because, like I said, those are good. The company is working, it said in 2019, it's working with now a Chinese developer, Lu Technologies Holding, for an online game based on the Lord of the Rings as a complement to the upcoming video game Prime series. I have heard of the Amazon's Lord of the Rings MMO, and I was really excited about that right up until I read this article. Well, actually, right up until they started releasing games, and then I read this article. Now at least I have some hope that it's another company doing it, but also it's a Chinese developer, and hopefully they don't do what the Asian MMO market does and make it crazy grindy and awful and just, not fun for the long term with almost no end game and crazy built-in cash shop stuff. So Amazon Lord of the Rings is probably going to be awful at this point. I don't know. I have no idea. But, the card game was called The Grand Tour, which is also based off of Top Gear, which is the British. They had the British stars of the Top Gear, not the American ones. Game bombed, obviously, because I had not even heard of that one until I was reading through this. The other embarrassments kept coming. May 2020, Crucible. I'm going to read this just because it's ridiculous. According to Frazzini, quote, "One of the things that we hear most often about people who try Crucible is that it feels unique. Yes, but unique isn't always a good thing, Frazzini. Mikey, if I may call you. On a personal level, unique isn't always good. Unique, I found a brand new unicorn. Also unique, he's a stabby unicorn that impales anything he sees with his horn. One was good, the other not so good. Yeah, both were unique. Not good. I don't even, it goes into here what IGN called it tedious, blah, 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 blah. I do like this fact that after the first week of release, fewer than 1,000 people were watching Crucible videos on Twitch, which Amazon owns. And I remember right, they were pushing the shit out of this game, or at least trying to. Like, it was always on the top page, like, try Crucible, blah, blah, blah. And they still couldn't get over 1,000 people watching Crucible. To put that in perspective, I think EverQuest won the 15 or the 20-something-year-old game now, has more people watching people stream that than people were watching Crucible. And it was released in June, died in October. May it rest in pieces forever and ever. Now it moves on to New World, and I've gone over and over New World, so I'll skip over that bit here. Let's see here, the blah, 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 blah. So it moves on from there to, and I would love to find, they eventually removed Native American imagery from the New World. I would love to find those old photos. I bet you they've probably been scrubbed with a Brillo pad in, like, the strongest thing Ace Chemicals can come up with from the internet, just gone. But I'm sure they're out there somewhere. It would probably take a lot of effort to find that original Native American, because I swore I remembered stuff like that, but I don't know if you could even find that easily now. So it moves on here on part of the reason why this doesn't work. It's Frazzini's way of looking at things. He's fond of saying he says apparently that anything can be measured according to two people who are closest to him. This philosophy, common in Silicon Valley, is an anathema to the game industry veterans. A guy named Seamus Buckley, who you might know, who helped design the original Xbox, sort of a successful console. I hope that they have a lot more success in the future. I know they're just a little guy now, but one day I think Xbox is really going to take off. Anyway, so Seamus says, and because his name's Seamus, he obviously, nobody who's successful starts with metrics. See, because his name's Seamus, that's just how it has to work. Microsoft Games Console is the last winning incursion into the video game marketplace in the last 2 decades. Apple Arcade, Facebook Oculus. The 3D headset seems pretty good. The Stadia is flat out garbage. Apple Arcade people seem to like a lot, but the problem with that is you have to have, like an iPhone stuff. I do not. So, and it says, fairly or not, Frazzini gets a lot of blame for Amazon's gaming failures at a time when overall spending in video games during the coronavirus pandemic is up significantly. Yeah, like smashing records left and right. Frazzini is cancer. I mean, it's
a bold strategy, Cotton. Let's see if it pays off for him.
But, yeah, apparently this was outgoing employee entered the Seattle office to collect their personal belongings and found a crass message in big blue letters scrolled on a whiteboard that Frazzini is cancered. Orbiting the note was a handful of +1s written in assorted colors. So to say that the guy is popular at the office would be an out-and-out lie. Yeah, apparently. So here's the thing with it is there's just I don't understand how they're letting this guy without a single success. Okay, one success, and it wasn't even his. It was just him suggesting that they acquire someone else's success in Twitch. But no personal successes under his belt, and he is still overcharged of all this. They tried to seem like they kind of were pushing him out with what was his name? I just had it here. Hartman and the other guy that they brought in on top of him, but they still left him in charge. They brought in they have the Luna project is overseen by David Limp, who runs Devices Division and produces the Echo and the Kindle. And he says, I hope they have a hit, but in addition, I think it's equally important for us to build a system. I think Luna is a starting points for that. So Luna is, it doesn't actually say, it just says their Luna project. But it Amazon Luna lets subscribers this Luna is their streaming service. Duh, I knew that. Amazon Luna. But okay, we've already got several streaming services that do well. And Amazon does have one of the best server infrastructures in the world. I will give them that. But that's not going to make all that big of a difference if the people behind, they're not going to have any of their own first-party games. So this is pretty much where the article, it goes into what Luna is and how successful the Marvelous Miss Maisel is, and all the Boys for Amazon Prime. They've done amazing things. We all know Amazon. I would imagine everybody here uses Amazon, especially right now when it's 2 degrees outside. Which, by the way, thanks for making me go to your porch, you dick. It's part of my job, but still, it sucks, especially when you order dog food. Nobody likes that. But I don't know why they can't get this right. Why they can't put somebody in charge that... I mean, give it to Smedley from EverQuest. He's still there. He's ran a division like this, even if it was just MMOs and, PlanetSide and H1Z1, things like that. Not massive successes, but the game's fucking released, and they weren't gargantuan failures at the same time. It boggles the mind. Apparently, too, there's a as of yet unannounced project including a secretive new game from Smedley, which is promising. I hope it does good. I just don't know. It just boggles the mind. I don't understand how they could let a guy like this keep doing this. They should be on their way to the success of an EA or Ubisoft or any of these other massive, Bethesda, Microsoft, Square Enix. They should be up there with all of these by now. There's $500 million in their operating to the games division alone should have pushed them past that, and we should already have at least like 2 or 3 or 4 amazing games out, and yet all we have is one cancellation after cancellation after cancellation, most of which don't even see the light of day. I think so, counting the Car one, Crucible, and New World, we've only seen 3 of them actually released, and one of them was awful, and I don't think it's on there. Crucible's already, we know it's definitely not around, and New World is in limbo while they're trying to make it into a decent MMO that isn't grindy and awful, which I don't know, I wasn't really a fan of it. So that's what's going on with Amazon. Anybody that was like me and really thought that we had a new, contender in the ring, and in the way of back in the day how it was just Nintendo and Atari, and then Sega, and then Atari slowly screwed up, and then PlayStation kind of came into it, and Sega screwed up, and they were gone, and then Microsoft came into it. Since then, which has been 20 years now, give or take, we've had no new real, massive thing, which I think Amazon could have been. I know those are console makers, not just game developers, but they should have been like that. They should have blasted past things like EA. Amazon has more money than most of these companies combined, and yet you still have things like Microsoft coming in and buying Bethesda. Why aren't they doing that? They easily could have done that. Why didn't they? As far as I know, it's because this guy is so self-centered on his, lumber yard and the building lumber. We gotta build our own games, so we'll buy Bethesda and make them build lumber. They use lumber. They like lumber. I'm beside myself. Obviously, I'm kind of just rambling on now because I don't know how else to explain just how bafflingly stupid the way these things have gone on is. It doesn't make sense. So, but that's how Amazon's run. That explains a lot of what seemed off from the outside from my perspective. Hearing this article fit very well with what I knew of how things went. And it's unfortunate. And I think that's about really all you can kind of say about that. So now that I've rambled on apparently by myself for nearly 2 hours, which I was really worried that I'd be able to do this show on my own, to be honest with you, because talking for an hour straight seems like a lot. Apparently I can do it. I don't know how well it's coming off. Hopefully you're enjoying it. Hopefully you're entertained. Are you not entertained? You might not be. It's very possible. But, so anyway, that's that. I appreciate you. Remember, twitch.tv/CrashedWhileLoading. We also have a YouTube channel. Just search Crashed While Loading. It's there. When I play through things, it will also be there. I still need to play through the rest of Medium. I don't know when I'm going to get a chance to do that. Honestly, this giant fucking blizzard sapped the hell out of me, bouncing off of curbs in a mail truck like a fucking it wasn't even ping pong ball. It's like living in a pinball machine, only I was the ball. I bounced off of curbs. Thank God I didn't bounce off of any cars. Other people not so lucky. Yeah, it's not fun out there. So, everybody, stay safe if you're in the frozen zone. People of the future listening to this in summertime, giant fuck you. I hope you're enjoying the weather, but right now we're not, and I hope you remember this time as unfondly as I do. So, with that, I am Ashton Phoenix. Thanks for watching, and I'm out of here. Music, as always, is provided by Husky by the Geek. Visit him at youtube.com/HuskyByTheGeek to hear all his latest in video game rock covers and original music.